Hello, my name is Alun. My pronouns are he, him, and today I am facilitating the seventh and last of a series of Free from the Yoke from UFO Press. You want to know more about the setup for this, go all the way back to session 1, because this will make no sense at all if you haven't seen the others. This is going to be the finale. I thought we were going to be able to roll it on into January, but my circumstances mean that I'm not going to be able to do that. We may return to the Land of the Wise sometime in the future, but for now we are going to treat this as our finale. And for that reason, we may kind of twist the narrative a bit to make sure that that the characters that the players want to have involved can be involved in this finale session. So all I will say is that we are playing using our community guidelines in terms of behaviors. We've played together a lot now, and I know that's not an issue for these players. But you know, if you are interested in a good set of online rules of engagement, then I thoroughly recommend the Gauntlet Community kind of code of conduct. We're also playing with safety tools. We're playing with lines and veils. We're playing with the X card, the open door, and we've been using stars and wishes to try and you know, make sure that next time is better than this time. So I don't think I've got anything else to say at this point. I will fill in any gaps in the plot that we're left with when I've been run the players. I'm going to come to Alex last because he was not very well last time. I wasn't able to play. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to fill in some of the details of what happened in episode 6 as we go around the table. So I think then for that reason, I will start with Dan. Say hello, tell us about your pronouns, introduce us to Cassie and or your house, and tell us anything you want to tell us about last time.
Sure. Hello, I'm Dan Brown. My pronouns are he, him, and I am playing a house known as the Forgers or the Chisel and Mallet. We are builders. We were sort of shafted in the last era, so we are not really too excited about the project that's happening now, which is to rid the land of spirits. Instead, Cassie, who was once an ambassador, now a Loremaster, is making moves to try and take over the house. Last time she was investigating why the power lines between the statues have diminished, and arrived at a couple different conclusions with the help of a agent of the wise and some other friends.
And that would seem to be a logical segue to go next to Jason, who will introduce us to his character, but also tell us perhaps something about that agent of the wise from last time. So yes. Jason, go ahead.
The agent was the Shadow, a bit of a spy, and she convinced Dan's character Cassie to kill the overseer of her own work site. So that was fun. The Shining Path. We are the church, and we've been working hard to establish our community around the top of the world. And last time we established some trade routes and generally did pretty well. We're in very good favor with the wise at this point. And my character is Eva, the daughter of the leader of the church, Sala. Eva is a wandering adventurer. We learned last time that her mother is Cassie, and she has a complicated romantic / confrontational relationship with Joe's character, Saruke. And Cassie convinced me to go on a mission to the monolith to I forget exactly what the point was, but we'll figure that out.
Which leads me logically, Joe, to say hello, tell us about your pronouns, introduces your character, and you might want to fill in anything else from last time because you were playing a bodyguard for Cassie last time.
All right. So hello, my name is Joe. He, him. I am playing the house, the Horselords of the Steppe, which we are calling the Jezdec. My character is Saruke. She is a young ambassador who is the sister of the current leader of the, or face of the house, which would also make her, I believe, the granddaughter of Jarrell, our centaur hero from earlier, in the earlier age. She is a very ambitious, morally ambiguous ambassador, as if there was any other kind, I think. And yes, so she definitely has sort of a frenemies relationship with Ava. And she is got a lot of little irons in the fires and is stoking all sorts of hopefully mischief, and to the betterment of her house. And so last time, so I'm also playing Osul, who is one of the bodyguards, the leader of the bodyguards that the Wise had tasked our house with protecting the Loremasters at all costs. And Osul actually ended up being the hand that killed the foreman. And all in this sort of like, I think we're trying to kind of seal some deals, on the back end between our house and others. So.
Thank you. So last time, the thing that hasn't come out of that little description, Alex, that might be of interest in terms of the state of play, is that Cassie managed to convince the agent of the Wise, the Shadow, an apparently very noticeable shadow, it must be said, to tell them what was actually going on. And what the shadow revealed was the Wise are behind the growing infestation of spirits in the land. And it appears the Wise have released some of the spirits of the land to cause havoc, to provide justification almost for this more authoritarian reinforcement of what can we call it? Spiritual rigor across the land that is using the church to lead it. And rather than the cursed, who have often fulfilled this middle management, the pilgrims, the incomers, are their local, what's the word I would use? Inspectors of spiritual rigor across the land. So that's where we got to. But Alex, say hello, tell us about your pronouns, and introduce us to Elena.
Hi, I'm Alex. My pronouns are he, him, and I am representing the faction known as, in the book, known as the Newfound Family, which we are calling the Cursed. They are groups of, let's say, local immigrants who have been who were brought into the last empire to act, as Alan was saying, as kind of the middle management. But they are still new to this land and therefore do not have kind of an established power base. And so Elena, who is the PC that I'm playing, she is playing she is, as the factor, she is trying to raise the status and general importance of her people. She's a bit ambivalent about what's happened recently, especially once it came out that the Wise were behind the spirits, because she had been her people in the past had been very closely aligned with the Wise and also with the church. So they are somewhat in a conundrum at the moment.
Fine. So they should. And I think the other thing I want to observe is that clearly the frenemy stroke mother-daughter relationships that came out last time, we are clearly set up for a second season at some time to resolve those relationships. I don't know if we're going to resolve them all today. Let's kick off then with a zoom out move, because we zoomed in last time, and that was a Chisel and Mallet zoom in. So the other three houses have the benefits of the zoom out. So when you return to the house level after a mission at the character level, each player whose character wasn't involved, and so while all the players played a character, their core player character was not involved. So each of them gets the benefit of the zoom out. So they will say what the character was doing instead and get fleeting advantage on their next house move if it capitalizes on their character's activity. And what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a round of house moves after this. So if you have a thought about what your house was going to be doing, you might want to phrase your character's activity in the light of that. So let's, in the order I can see you on the screen. So Joe, let's talk about what was Saruke doing while Cassie led the expedition to the statue on the edge of the steps.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm trying to, so I know she was going to a clandestine meeting with the Snake Marauder people, because she wants to cut a deal with them. And so I think she's on her way or there, right? And we don't have to resolve that today, but
oh well, I mean, what I imagine doing, I'll be honest with you, given that we're in the finale, is that we treat this as she goes there, and that means that there will be advantage for the Jezdec to achieve the accommodation with the serpents that they were seeking when we come in a moment for you to decide whether you want to seize by force or subterfuge or whatever else.
yeah, so I think narratively her goal is the Jezdec seized the lands up and around the Temple of the Prophet in those areas, with the idea of giving it to the Snake Marauders because that was one of their needs. And in an effort to say, hey, you do what you want to do, but stay away from us, right? Like, beware, don't mess with us, but we're not gonna get in the way of you doing whatever it is you need to do. So
fine. And so I think that probably a little montage of Saruke in conversation with representatives of the Serpent Marauders, these kind of Vikingish trader raiders in the shadow of the Temple of the Prophet in the north of the land is what we're seeing. And that will give you advantage on the house move that I'm going to invite you to make shortly. Let's go next to Ava bint Salah. How is Ava spending this period of time, perhaps preparing in some way for the mission? But that it's how is she going to get how is her activity going to benefit the house in a house move?
Okay, I think what Ava's been doing, preparing for this journey to the monolith, but before she leaves, she's going to go down into the crypts under the Capitol and visit the shrine to her grandmother. Maybe there's a statue over there. And we established back before that Salah's mother had been sacrificed to the trees, the groves, and so they have sort of a remembrance of her down in this crypt. And my house has this power that when you call on you carry a reliquary containing the ashes of an ancestor. When you pray for guidance, the ancestor will appear and offer advice. So I'm imagining maybe the statue animates, Ray Harryhausen style, and gives her some advice. And I'm particularly interested perhaps in rolling Read the Wind to find out where we can gain attunement.
Fine. And finally, let's go to Alina. What has Alina been doing recently? And that may or may not, you may or may not want to leverage that into an advantage on a house move.
Alina, I think, will spend this episode trying to fill one of the house needs, which is justice, specifically against the Horse Lords.
Because my recollection is that there was something that during the rebellion or before the rebellion that was important to the cursed that the Horse Lords gained possession of and had not returned. That was my recollection about the root of that desire for justice. So
I'll have to rely on you, because that completely, I have no recollection of that at all.
I've got a vague recollection that I scribbled something down in episode 2.
Okay.
What we didn't decide at that time was what it was, but it was something. And so I think maybe there's a little montage of Elena going from village to village or clan to clan across the steppes, trying to work out surreptitiously where this thing might be. Yeah. Okay. So with that in mind, then let me go back around to Saruke. What you already have advantage, because last time you undertook a read the wind, I think, to establish that it was land that was needed. So you have advantage to claim that land formally by force. And then you have fleeting advantage if you want to then. No, I think that I'm going to give you and the serpent some kind of mutual influence relationship.
Yeah, I think we did end up claiming the land. If
Oh,
I
did
remember
you?
correctly,
Fine.
because that's what got me the need of soldiers, because I think I rolled a 7 to 9, and that there.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. You see, I can remember what happened in episode 2. I can't remember what happened in episode 6.
Yeah.
So is this then? I mean, the closest we have to a negotiation arrangement is kind of calling in a debt. And what I think I'm inclined to do is to allow the Horse Lords to treat the land that they took last time as influence on the serpents. So you can simply spend, you can delete that surplus land, hand it to the serpents, and that will mean that the agreement is in place and you will get one influence on one another.
Okay, and then so I think what it's actually going to do is create a need of land for me, because last time I had a need, I took the land, it balanced it out, and now I'm back to need. So add a need for land, and then we have influence on.
You have influence on the serpents, and the serpents have influence on you. There is a formalized treaty between you, I think, is the way I'm going to treat that.
That land ends up being with the serpents, though. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I asked completely innocently. Okay.
So I am now going to put it, because they had a need land, I'm going to put a cross through that. And on the upside, there is now less need for them to take aggressive measures to spend as a reaction to certain circumstances. But I will give that. So yeah, you have influence on them. So mark that on your sheet, and that should come through to where I'm seeing it. So there you are, Jezdec. Got you. There we are. +1 from Jezdec. And then let's go next to the Shining Path.
Okay. Following up on what Joe just did, let me do a quick little thing. So I have an influence move. When you publicly condemn a group for their sins, hold 1, publicly absolve them, blah, blah, blah. So I think we see Sala speaking to a throng of people in a square in our capital. They're all extremely enraged. And, he's saying something like, they took our holy land and gave it to the marauders, this is a great sin that must be punished. So I'm hoping that gives me that hold, and then I'm going to spend it, because Sala then says, but it's okay. We will go forth and we will bring them under our banner as we did with the curse, and the land will be in its rightful place. So I'm
So,
hoping
so
to.
can I just interject just a
Sure.
second? So, like, a lot of what I was trying to do up there was a secret arrangement with the Marauders, right? So I guess I'm struggling with.
I think that the Shining
No.
Path need to read the wind.
Okay.
Okay.
To find out what's, because they have a legitimate interest in the abandoned Temple of the Prophet. So I think they need to read the wind to find out if what's gone on.
Yeah, and
'cause
I think like the assumption I think in the game is that days and weeks are passing as we're doing things,
Yeah.
right? So I imagine I'm certainly willing to roll dice, but I'm certainly imagine that our house would figure it out pretty quickly. You know, it is their holiest of holies, right? It's the Jerusalem of our faith. So
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
I guess
we're
what-
in a way, all we're going to work out is what is the consequence of finding out,
sure.
because that's what the move
Right.
does.
Yeah, like my intent was like it's not going to be a secret that the Marauders are moving into that land, but the goal was that treaty that they had and helping facilitate it was a secret. So like that's
And my assumption, I'm looking to get the hold on them, not on you.
okay.
So I mean, they're the ones that end up holding the ground. So they're the ones that are gonna.
Yeah, because that's the visible, that's what Read the Wind is going to tell you. It's going to tell you something about the Marauders and the temple. So let's have you roll plus reach.
I get advantage on one from the zoom up, but I'd like to hold that for the thing I set up with Eva if I could. So
Yeah.
I'll just roll 2 dice here, +1. That's 11.
Wow. So on a hit, you get the answer. And so what are the movements of the marauding serpents would seem to be the closest question,
Sure.
or what's happening around the temple.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And those two others, the answer to both those questions the same. Is on a hit, you get the answer to your question, which is that the Marauders have set up a trading post. You know, if we were playing next week, I would add a little tributary river that would come up near there. And there would be, they have established a so far temporary, but soon to be permanent trading post in the shadow or in the ruins of the temple to make it even more offensive. And on a 10+, you can also mark the map with a sign of your answer. So
Nice.
what do you want to mark around there?
I mean, the end result of all of this is I'm going to gain influence on them, and I'm going to spend that influence to call in a debt and grab that land from them. That's
Well, let's work through it.
Sure.
So at the minute, the Temple of the Prophet is there. I'm going to put a point of interest, which is the trading post.
Okay.
That's what they have done.
Mhm.
Now, do you want to add anything to the map?
Let me look at my stuff here.
I mean, for instance,
Maybe we found out that they found a in the sand or in the ruin, they found a box of old scrolls. Maybe add literature. I have a need for that.
I think that's pushing it, if I'm honest. On the basis of that, I'm wondering whether you want to put a threat there.
Well, I'm hoping to grab the land for myself here, like I said, so I don't know if I want to add a threat.
Okay.
Um,
Do you want to say something about the trading post?
Maybe can I say that I've infiltrated double agents into their organization?
That would require a successful roll for subterfuge. What I will do is I will give you it's about adding something to the map.
Yeah.
It's not about a mechanical advantage here. If there's nothing that comes to mind, that's
There's
fine.
really nothing that comes to mind because like I said, my real goal in all of this is to get that land from them. So
Okay.
that we've already established is there.
So the serpent, whoops a daisy. That was silly of me. There we go. The serpent trading post is located there. and we'll come back round to you if we've got time for another follow-up move.
Okay.
Let me then go to Elena of the Cursed. What, if anything, do the Cursed want to be doing as a house move?
So I'm thinking, and please correct me if you think this is an incorrect assumption. I no longer have any influence on any of the other factions, nor do they have any on me, I believe. I have many needs, and I don't have a huge amount of, well, I have some surpluses too, but I think the Cursed are thinking about possibly going home again.
Right, I might have missed it, but I thought what you were going to say was we will now claim justice by force. A claim by force is often I think, a poor description. Claim by whatever means you want to describe, because that's what Elena has set them up to have advantage to do.
Yeah, I think this is the last thing that they want here. I think getting this thing back, which we haven't defined yet, from the Jezdec is what they want. And then I'm having trouble seeing the Cursed having a very strong tie to anything. I think they feel kind of betrayed by the Wise, which is what they had given their, which they had given them power, and the Shining Path has not been in any way forthcoming to them either. So I think they're interested in finding out from the serpents what the state of their land is, their original homeland, because the serpents, they and the serpents had some overlap in the before times. So I think they want to find out if this is a possibility, that maybe they could get back home and leave all of these, have these people be, not be part of this.
Leave them to their own devices again.
Yes, because it just seems like they've either been, since they've arrived in this land, they've either been exploited or ignored, and they haven't really gotten anything from it. You know, and and then the Empire was the only thing that was keeping them going, and now that the Empire is gone, I don't know.
So
I just don't want this to be a we want to take our marbles and go home kind of move. But
well, let's see what happens when you try to obtain the item from the Horselords. The sequencing would be meet the need for justice by finally obtaining back from the Horselords one way or another, whatever it is, and then that leaves the Cursed with decisions to make. And we know how democracy makes decision making really smoothly easy. So
that's a 10.
Oh, will you look at that on a 10? Roll plus grasp on a hit. It's theirs, but not without cost. 10 plus, choose one. It's not completely yours yet. The forces you use. So how do you, is this a moral claim? Or do you steal it? Or seek to steal it? Or do you confront the group of the Horselords that holds this item and threaten them with violence in order to obtain it? What approach do you take? If it helps you, I will tell you now that what's in my mind is if you choose there is a cost of your victory, your house gets a need or the GM's choice, that is going to be need soldiers because I think that the Horse Lords or factions within the Horse Lords are going to come after you. It's not completely yours yet. The forces you use must stay here. So for that, you'll need to have an approach that relates to one of your surpluses. So, you know, morale and leadership are the obvious ones that would then be tied to the step. And maybe that's a cost that would fit with trying to establish a moral claim over this.
Okay, can I think about this some more, because I'm still having a trouble seeing exactly what it is that they're taking back. So until I think if we figure out exactly what it is they're taking back,
And just to complete it, the simple option is simply to take it and increase turmoil.
for myself.
No, for the land.
Oh, yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, because that
Yeah.
that does fit with your idea that, you know, this is just all which means that turmoil is now equal to control. So clearly the actions of the wise to draw the people together and to set everything back where it was is not doing particularly well.
In fact, it's probably backfiring.
It's backfiring badly at the moment, it seems. So turmoil equals control. I wonder what will happen to that. So that, I think, is the sequence apart from the Chisel and Mallet. What, Dan, which house move? Because even though you were in the zoom in, you still got a house move.
Yes, and because of former flush with resources, I have advantage on subterfuge because of my network of spies.
You do.
I think what I want to do, I don't think the Chisel and Mallet have a beef with any of the player factions, because they're realizing that there's something more sinister going on here. Cassie is now aware that something that's more sinister is going on, but I don't think I can infiltrate the wise as a faction, can I?
No, not really. If narratively we'd created this idea that there are the wise and they have agents on Earth who constitute some kind of faction, but at the minute the agents on Earth are following instructions from the wise as far as we know.
So I have another idea, which is maybe to try and mend some of the gaps between the players' houses. You know, we've got the Cursed wanting to flee. We've got the Shining Path really preoccupied with its own stuff. We've got the Jezdec trying to make friends with these marauders. I feel like in order to overcome the wise's issues, we need to pull together. So I'm just going to pick the Cursed and say that we're going to try and lay the groundwork to help them stay. Not compel them, but just sort of lay the groundwork. So when we infiltrate another faction to make, and I think it's makes something here more attractive, more desirable to them is what I'm going for.
Okay.
Alex, any concern about the Chisel Mallet doing that? Okay.
So let's have you roll with sleight, which, as you say, you have advantage on because of your network of spies.
Yes, but I still roll with a -1. Advantage, so it's a 10 -1 is 9.
9. Are you interested in calling on someone to try and up that? Oh, that's in advance, isn't it? No, forget that.
No.
Okay. So on a hit, they do it. So what do you make more attractive? What are you seeking to?
I mean, the thing that comes to mind is the Cursed are really good at bureaucracy, and there's a need for management and oversight and things like that. So maybe the house, maybe the Chisel and Mallet in starting up these mining operations has said, we have a need, or we are creating an opportunity for good paying jobs, that kind of thing.
So in effect, make the need for coin less of a difficulty for the cursed. Yeah.
I think that's all right.
Yeah. I'm prepared to have that action meet the need for coin that the cursed have, which should mean that sorry, thanks, Lise. That means that mood of the cursed would go up by 1. That would seem to me to be a mechanical way of getting to the objective that the Chisel and Mallet have. Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
If the curse take him up on it.
I suppose that the way this works is that the agents have succeeded in making the cursed feel valued.
Yes.
That's the nature of the move, I think. So on a hit, they do it. It's not on a 7 to 9. They must move slowly to act with subtlety or raise turmoil.
Which I know it sounds counterintuitive, but I'm inclined to raise turmoil because I'm trying to get the wise, trying to shake things up with the wise.
Okay. Well, I think circumstances are the land is getting very confused. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete.
It is the season finale.
It is.
So
It is. I'm going to delete the need that the cursed have for coin because and I'm going to increase their mood to 1. So maybe they're feeling slightly more valued than they did, Alex. If the Chisel and Mallet succeeded to make them feel slightly better about their place in the in the land than they did. That needn't influence their actions or their decisions, but that works for me. Okay.
Now that turmoil is greater than control, I think you increase doom by 1.
Oh God, do I? Thanks for the reminder. Hang on, where's it gone? If turmoil is greater than control,
I would really like.
Oh, trigger state of emergency. Hellfire. What?
What have I done?
I'm looking at mark doom when turmoil exceeds control once per age.
Right. Okay. But hang on, I need to look up state of emergency. It's in the house moves under logistics. If turmoil is greater than control, all houses attempting to use logistics must pick an extra option, even if their mood is positive. So the land is in turmoil. I will mark doom. So it's 3-1 progress versus doom on the new spiritual rigor of the land. But I guess that reflects the fact that people are acting independently. Maybe banditry and outlawry is on the up. Maybe some of that is to do with another incursion by the serpents. Maybe it's just people who are not associated with a house saying we have no skin in this game. We're going to start looking after ourselves. To hell with what the pilgrims and their kind of spiritual inquisition are about. Or maybe that's the trigger for this. I don't know. Inflation
is raising the cost of transportation. Yeah, who knows?
And mercenary protection for that transportation. Wow, that is the first time I think that turmoil has exceeded control. Wow, right. So the land is in turmoil officially. I'd like to move to the zoom in now, if that's okay, and then we'll see where we get at the end of that.
Let me, can I do the one quick other house move that
yeah, what have you got in mind? Oh, yes.
Eva is visiting with her ancestor grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Let me roll that and see if she tells me. What I'm most interested in here is, like I said, to establish an attunement, and hopefully, if the dice are favorable, to have it be at the monolith. So kind of kill 3 birds with 1 stone, probably.
Okay.
So let me roll that real quick. So I'm using my advantage I got from the zoom out to use on this.
Yeah.
I get 3D plus 1. That is 10, 11, no 10, which
10.
is perfect. So yeah, I just want to establish there's an attunement right at the monolith.
There is.
And just to put a bee in your ear, maybe it's a demon that I need to kill, or an artifact I need to find, something like that.
Maybe it is. Who knows? Once we get down there, we'll find out.
Okay.
But yes, there is attunement, inverted commas, at the monolith, or I think probably beneath the monolith.
Okay. And
There we go.
just to establish it, Ava, makes an oath. There's a lot of impact that an oath makes. I make an oath that I will, get that attunement and bring it to the house, something like that.
Because that links you back to your duel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of good stuff that comes out
Yeah.
of making oaths for me. So
Yeah, fine. So oath away. So yeah, I am, unless somebody, I should ask, does anybody else have a house move they have in mind to complete or tie up any loose ends at this point, or are we okay? Joe?
Is this it for house moves? Or will there be
It
another?
depends how the zoom in goes, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Dan, anything?
I don't think so.
And what about you, Alex, for the cursed?
The cursed still wanted to do the read the wind move.
They did.
Just to talk to the serpent to see what the status of their old homeland is.
Fine. Let's have you roll plus reach to read the wind.
Okay, so that's
that- 8. So on an 8, what I suppose the closest we can come to here is what is happening in our old homeland in the north. Yeah, what's the circumstances about there? On a hit, you get an answer to the question. On 7 to 9, choose one of the allies you consulted to mark the map instead. This is instead of you marking the map. Now, I'm thinking that in season 2, this speculative season 2 that is ahead of us in some, scheduler's mind, is that we would put the land of the wise, and then we'd have a bigger map showing the area around it. And so off the north of the map is the homeland of the cursed, or at least a significant number of them. And which of the other houses do you want to mark something up there? The answer is there is turmoil in the north. The reason that the serpents have come south looking for land is that they in turn are under pressure in the north. That is the answer to the question. So all is not entirely well in the north, but then no one planning season 2 is going to suggest it is. But then which of the other houses do you want to select to add something off the north of the map that in some way signifies this?
I have no particular insight into that. Do any of the other factions have a?
It's a cool idea, folks. Anyone got a cool idea for what's off the north side of the map?
Could it be a remnant of the Empire pushing back?
Well, now, if I mark a threat off the top of the map, because that's what it seems to me that there is a threat up there. So we've got a threat of an advancing remnant or arm of the Empire. Anyone got an improvement on that? Okay. I'm going to put advancing.
An alternate idea would be a alternate version of the wise.
Ooh. Advancing. Well, I tell you what, the way we cover the bets on that one is to say an advancing alternative to the wise. Okay, I've just put that up there on the north edge. Just for completeness. Wow. Probably not the answer that the cursed were hoping for.
No. But that's what happens sometimes.
It is. It is.
Or for the cursed, mostly what happens.
Okay, so let's. I'm just looking. It's 10 to the hour. I'm inclined to take the break now and ask each of you to think about whether you want your player character to be involved. I think I will say to Eva, if all the player characters aren't involved, is there an agent of the wise you want to involve? Which agent?
Okay, I'll think about it.
Okay. And then the question will be, for those of you when you come back, whether you want to pick up that agent or whether you want to create a quick character, or as I say, use your player character, given we were in finale territory. Okay.
This is in the at the monolith.
At
right?
the monolith.
Okay.
Or we almost certainly in the tunnels beneath it, because we know those exist. So back on the hour. I'll see you then. Okay, back from the break. We've just been having a chat about the rules and how seize by force might not be actually about force, and if it was, would the battle move trigger? But you know, anyway, that's for the 3rd edition of Legacy, which actually is beginning to shape up in my head. Anyway, let us zoom in. So let me ask in each case. Now the focus of this zoom in is Eva bint Salah. So Eva is going to be present. Do you want to offer up one of the agents of the wise?
Yes, if anyone wants to play the wise rather than their own character or a quick character, I think why don't we see the shadow again, Helga of the Cats? We established that Cassie had given her this brooch that that allows Cassie to track her. So I'm curious to see, her show up here and probably cause some problems.
Okay, so Jason is offering the option for someone to play Helga, the Shadow of the Wise. But as I said, whether it makes narrative sense or not, I am very happy for you to play your principal player character if that's what you want to do. So in the order I can see you. Dan, are you interested in having Cassie go with her daughter?
Oh, definitely not. That would be a disaster.
Okay.
And not a fun, not necessarily a fun one. So
okay.
I haven't had a chance to play an agent yet, so I'd be inclined to pick up the shadow, if that's okay.
Fine. Alex, do you want to involve Elena in this exploration beneath the monolith? Or
no, this isn't really her speed.
Okay.
She's a more of a watcher from the shadows and a influencer. Not that's influencer, that's become a bad word, but she's so I'm probably going to play a quick character, I'm guessing.
Okay. We do have some Shining Path quick characters already roughed out. If along with the person who now I think these were from a previous age, but if they fit the bill, I'm not averse to them returning in this one. Joe, what about you? Yes, you do get to take an advance when you pick up the shadow, Dan. So you can get on with having a look at the shadow and selecting another move. Joe, are you thinking of having Saruke go along and maintaining this opportunity for a bit of frenemy stuff to go on?
Yeah, so I was a little confused. I thought this was Cassie's zoom in, and so I was gonna play the bodyguard again, but since it's not Cassie's zoom in, so she's definitely gonna come, right?
Okay. No, I mean, Cassie palmed off this investigation that was given to Chisel Mallet.
I don't know why I
Eva.
thought that in my head. I was
No, it's legitimate. The wise gave the job to the Chisel Mallet, but
Right.
Cassie is just
Okay, that must be what I was thinking. So
on a rugby field. We call that a hospital pass.
Alan, let me cover two things before we get too far. Do you think I triggered my champion move? Mark when you swear an oath to confront a particular foe.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Say what you promise not to do until you've dealt with it. I think she's swearing off any creature comforts. So just food and water, no alcohol, no sex until she's accomplished this. Then you say one thing that won't harm you so long as you hold to your oath.
I've got in mind what's going on beneath the monolith and the statues. So with that outline in my mind, I think that you won't be harmed by fire.
Okay. And the other thing is, when I was leaving the crypt, I smashed open some glass and took the relic sword of the house, which I'm going to slap a whole bunch of, it's going to be a melee weapon, but I'm going to put those gear points onto it.
Okay.
So how do I think we had talked a little bit about this at the end last time. How many gear points do I have to play with?
I alternated between, I think the way, how did I actually write this? Because this is a variation. So, prepare and provision. When you zoom in, your house outfits you for the mission. You get gear points equal to total relevant surpluses on hand. So I think you get gear points equal to non-dispersed. It's the on hand that makes it a bit stupid.
So that'd be 5 then?
Yeah, which seems an awful lot. I think I'm going to rewrite that rule on the hoof to say equal to the difference between surplus and need.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have to get drawn into what's on hand.
Sure. Okay. So the only consequences, I mean, in my case, I'll have 1. A lot of times people will have 0,
Yeah.
or even negative, which obviously is irrelevant, but okay, so we'll go with just 1 gear point for now.
Yeah,
then?
I think so. I think 5 seems too many. 1, I agree, seems not very much.
Okay. Fair
That
enough.
may reflect the fact that this rewrite of that move is not working.
Okay.
probably
I
not
wanted
smart, but I'm kind of completely lost at what's happening right now.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
What was all the smashing and the sword and the stuff like that? I just more for my own understanding. I don't know what's going on.
Okay. If you go to each of your characters' gear section, yeah, which is down there for Saruke on row 74, 75. Currently, the Horselords have 4 surplus and 4 needs. So what that means is you have 0 gear points. What I've tried to come up with is a way to spend something you can spend in play, because my experience with the legacy prepare and provision is you spend an hour trying to sort out what you're going to take in advance, and then it never actually has much impact on play. So I'm trying to cut out and kind of streamline this whole thing. But you will find that each of you has a gear move. So for instance, Saruke, when you prepare and provision, you can add a free tag to your transport or gain a new transport with 2 tags.
But so I don't get to do that because I don't have any gear points.
No. Gear points everybody gets a gear move. And then gear points was something I'd envisaged in a kind of blades kind of way. You could spend when you got into the zoom in when it mattered. So you picked something, you say, but I happen to have.
Okay.
So what this means is that along there where it says, what are your horses famed for? You've got transport, mount, swift and luxury. You can use the drop down alongside that, the extra gear tag, to select something else, some other characteristic of that horse. So, durable, it's already swift, mighty, hulking, canny.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't need to do that. So,
and the same applies, I guess, then to you, Alex. If you are going to take either the existing rogue Shining Path Nassif, Ehsan Baccus, the champion, or Nefi Adija, the outsider, or what are we left with? You could create a quick character leader over there on row AJ for the Shining Path. You would currently have 1 gear point to spend once we get stuck into play. But you also have the gear. You can add a tag to your armor or outfit when you prepare and provision. And that applies to you as well, Jason, for Ava, remember? So, and in terms of the Shadow of the Wise, which role move are you going to add to the pot, Dan?
So I can switch her roll up.
No, you can't change her role. Oh, sorry, you can pick another role move, a second one. So you will have Wild Tongue, but you can have another one as well. Or you select something else from the advances. Down there on row 34, advances. Pick one every time the agent is selected.
So am I doing both roll and advance, or just roll or advance?
You get an advance. It could be a roll. It could be a roll move.
Okay. I chose the advanced learner ritual from the Church of the Gutters.
Okay.
And I wrote just summon the strays. I don't know what that means yet, but
we'll find out.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Also, when I begin playing the Shadow, say what secrets the Arbiter wants me to learn or cover up.
Yes.
I mean, she's already covering up a pretty big secret.
Yeah, not very well, as it turned out.
No, she's a terrible Shadow. It's like cats. They sort of try and act all subtle and stuff, and then they're stepping on your keyboard. I think I'm actually being sent here to learn a secret, which is maybe they've let the genie out of the bottle, and now there's something under the monolith that they're hoping lets them kind of take control back of the evil spirits. Does that sound okay?
Okay, what I've written down, and you can tinker the words if you like, something beneath, well, I can't spell something, but something beneath the monolith will return control to the wise.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah. And maybe you know what it is, but nobody else does.
Love it.
See how that goes. So that's easy because, you know, you have outfit, practical and subtle, and you have weapon, melee, hidden. That's a given for the wise. Alex, what are you thinking for your Shining Path? Do you want to take one of the existing or create a new one?
Yeah, I'll take the champion character.
Okay, fine. There we go. So Ehsan Baccus. I'm just going to hide the rogue just so it's easier for me to skim back and forth between Ava and Ehsan. Fine. So let us then cut to approaching the monolith. I think we've established that there is a relatively frequently occupied pilgrim station. I think in the last 20 years, it's become more permanent. When you first encountered it, it was a campsite. Now I think there is a small settlement nearby the monolith. And with a kind of caravanserai and maybe, you know, somewhere to buy supplies before people return south across the dry lands or arrive out of the dry lands. Pilgrims move across that border fairly permeably. So let me start with, yeah, let's start kind of where we started last time, which is that Helga was involved. Helga, Dan, when do we first see Helga of the Cats?
I think she's miraculously almost impossibly already at the pilgrim station. And none of these folks, I don't think, would recognize her or know who she is necessarily, because it was Cassie's interaction with her last time, Cassie and also last time. But because they're delving, she's in her adventuring gear. So although at first glance it's not as obviously ostentatious as last time, it's clear that her adventuring outfit is of extremely high quality, and if you were to be able to see the lining of it, you would see it's just the best silks in the land. She is at one of the she's just simply waiting, I think, for the folks to show up, and she's at a stall where she is buying food that she intends to feed to the local cat population.
Of course she is.
Yes.
Do you think you have triggered at home in the darkness when you scout out a location, roll plus cunning?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I completely have done that.
Then let's have you roll plus cunning, which is +2 for Helga of the Cats.
Yep. She did terribly. She rolled a 6.
Oh my!
She's very distracted by trying to take care of all these stray cats.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to take that hard move and put it on that shelf up there.
If you must.
It seems fair.
Jason, I love this character. She's great.
Yeah, she is the worst shadow in the world, though. Because I think that's what happened last time. Albeit she was in a rather more ostentatious tent. Let me then go to the champion of the Shining Path, Alex, to Ehsan Baccus. What do we see? What is Ehsan Baccus noticing about the caravanserai? Because I'm guessing you have to go through the caravanserai to get to the monolith. So tell me something about this pilgrim station.
I'm going to say that the pilgrim station is not as that they have become influenced by what is beneath the monolith, and that perhaps the monolith has established an outpost among them, or that they have been converted to whatever power lies beneath the monolith.
Can I parlay that into a preacher who's come out of the wilderness, preaching on the subject of the monolith? Saruke, what is the preacher saying about the monolith or related to the monolith?
Perhaps maybe it's something related to this is the source of the true power of the land, or something maybe anti, that this is where the true power of the land resides here,
rather than the wise.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
I like that. And it would also fit perhaps with the pilgrims who travel back and forth here, that maybe the preacher is telling them stuff that they want to hear, because of course their pilgrim route is related to the Shining Path and the temple of the prophet. Ava, what about you? Do you have a reaction to this preacher? Or is there something else around the caravanserai, the pilgrim station, that you notice or want to interact with?
I think we see Ava on her majestic steed. She is in very plain white robes at this point because of her quest. And she rides up and says, I'm Ava bint Salah. the daughter of Sala, of the wise. I am here to rid this place of evil, and I'll pull out this like I said, this blade that I took from the crypt, and I've given it the tag weird, spooky effect specific to the weapon. And I'm wondering if maybe this weapon is able to sense evil, demons, spirits, whatever fits into our story. So I'll say, tell me, is there any supernatural, I don't know, affliction, that you've noticed around here or something like that?
Okay, can I just check in on the gear then?
Sure.
So you have temple guards, followers, drilled, vicious.
Right.
Yeah. You have traveling wear, practical, hardy. That's what you've just described. Yeah. You've added outfit meditative to that.
Okay.
Is that your gear move?
I think we also, everybody, it doesn't say it here, but everybody also just has a basic melee weapon. So I'm imagining my basic melee weapon, I've added this spooky effect. Or I could add the spooky, I guess I could add the spooky effect if it fits better to one of the things we already got on my list here. Maybe my traveling wear has the
I suppose what I'm trying to work out is what does that outfit meditative apply to, if not your traveling wear?
It does. It applies to my traveling wear.
Okay. And then you've got humble steed, transport,
Vicious.
mount, canny. Followers
And,
can be vicious, transport can't.
Canny allows you to, what Canny does is it gives you a tag from the followers list for your steed.
Oh, I
That's
see.
what
Fair
Canny
enough.
means.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
okay.
what that says.
So then what you're telling me is, well, I think what you have to do is you can't have outfit meditative. What you want to do is to add a tag to your armory, because
that tag is coming.
Has not selected a weapon as basic equipment.
Right. If you look under the gear move, it says add a tag to your armory or outfit when you prepare and provision.
Yes.
Okay.
So what I imagine is you are
so
going to
instead,
need to select
okay.
weapon.
I'll take
melee,
that away. All right.
Yeah, and then you can spend your gear point if you want to add weird to that weapon.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that uses up the gear point. There we go.
Got it.
Job's a good one. Okay. So so what, if anything, do you want to do with this in mind?
So yeah, I'm just looking for him to, maybe this is find common ground, to have them tell me if there's any supernatural threats around.
I would go with that. Either that or unearth forgotten lore. Take your pick.
Either one's pretty terrible for me, but I'll go with the common ground. Probably better than that than the other. It's probably a reach, but would my weapons weird give me advantage on this?
I can't see why.
Okay. I was like I said, I was trying to interpret the weird because it doesn't. It's pretty vague. Spooky effect that's specific to the weapon. I'm just saying that it helps me. It tells me where supernatural threats are, basically.
I think that would work well for unearth forgotten lore.
Let's do that then instead. That's probably more interesting. So 3 dice minus,
and that can be via a conversation with the preacher. I don't care, but I think the mechanic is unearth forgotten lore.
Okay, let's roll it. 6 + 5 - 1 is 10.
10. So on a 10 plus, ask 2 of the unearth forgotten lore questions.
Let's see. What danger is it hiding? And how can I draw on this for power?
And the wild-eyed prophet from the wilderness grabs you by the front of your tunic and says, "The fires of the wise lurk beneath the monolith. Those fires will consume all unless they are controlled."
Okay.
How can I draw power from this? You might be able to learn a ritual down there, I think, is the mechanical. Maybe if you can subdue them, you can control the fires. I don't know, but I think that's the implication. I think you have fictional positioning to learn a ritual beneath the monolith, or somebody does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Saruke, What do we see? Because we know that there's this thing going on, the will they, won't they, between you and Ava. Do you respond at all when you see the preacher react in this way to Ava? I'm just trying to flesh out this relationship. I'll give you an opportunity to flesh it out if you want to.
Ava's definitely been giving you the cold shoulder this whole journey. You know, like
Well, Saruke's
you have
only,
not been invited to my tent.
well, Saruke's only here to attempt to have Ava have egg on her face. So I don't think there's anything mechanically yet, but I think she's just I think she just kind of snorts in disdain at the whole scene a little bit. So
and yeah, I think we get that look at, you know, not through the third wall perhaps, but certainly that look to I can't remember, do you have followers with you? Skilled rangers and foragers, yes you do.
Yep.
And those skilled rangers and foragers, you know, there's that kind of nudging, you know, at Ava. Ava, this is your zoom in. So what happens next?
I think, are any of us good at lore? I guess the shadow is. I think I turn to the shadow and I say, you know, we must harness this power to help us figure out what's going on with the what are the lines of power, and also to rid this site of evil. Do you think you can figure out a way to, like, you know, as the prophet or as the priest says, the preacher says, you know, maybe we can harness this fire, that, you know, the fire of the wise. So I turn to you, Helga. Put it in your plate.
It's possible, but I think that would only require us to explore what is beneath the monolith.
Segue, the monolith, and a crack. Last time we were at the monolith, there was this great tall rock. Now there is a crack in the side of the monolith. It's dark within, but I think as we approach, you will see a heat haze rising from that crack. Helga, you brought him here. What's the plan?
I smile at Ava and Saruke and sort of turning back and forth between them. And I ask, which one of you strong and powerful women will lead us into the depths below?
I'll definitely march forward into danger.
Ehsan,
Go ahead.
all right, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I don't feel the fire and the heat anyway. So,
Ehsan, what do you have to say?
Ehsan, I think, is a family member of Eva's, maybe a cousin or something like that, and is very interested in protecting her at all costs. So if there's anything he can do to show his usefulness in this, he will do so. So he also volunteers.
And so, Ava, do you let Ehsan take the lead, or do you? I'm curious, Ehsan. What's your relationship with Ava's father, the head of the church, Salah, if you're a member of the family? Is there any sense in which Salah has that you are here to protect her at all costs because of Salah, or is there some other reason why you've been encouraged to do this?
I think it's he wants to protect his family.
Okay, so it's a go on.
Yeah, that was the basic motivation that I came up with.
I think I take the lead, but maybe, you know, you're right behind me. It helps me trigger one of my moves, so I definitely want to take the lead.
Okay, Ava, you take the lead, followed by Ehsan. Um, um, are your temple guards with you, or do they bring up the rear?
They're amongst us, yeah.
Okay, so quite this bunch of the shining path entering. What about you, Saruke? Do you hang about and wait for the shadow to go before you, or do you follow Ava and the shining path contingent?
Yeah, I think she'll make a comment about Ava's great braveness being surrounded by that retinue. And then basically as they've moved in, she'll turn to the shadow and say, "Shall we?" And motioning towards the crack in the door.
Helga?
I think I don't want to drag this out now. Well, I say no after you, and I kind of give Saruke a little shove into the crack.
So you're bringing up the rear.
100%.
The perfect place for someone with a hidden weapon.
Yes.
So there's quite a crowd going down. You know, if I am right in assuming that those temple guards are going, if only to absorb any harm around the corner. And those rangers, are those rangers and scouts, Saruke, are they entering, or are you going to leave them up top with the horses?
Yeah, no, so I have a question. Can your followers do the moves that you have as a character, or is that just you can do those?
Only you can do those. What any of your followers can do is they can do what they're good at. So you'll find down beneath, for instance, Ossol, there's followers under orders. When you send a group of followers to perform a task within their speciality, so in your case, rangers, foragers with a deep knowledge of nature. So if you set them off to do something that could reasonably be described as within that area of specialism, they get to roll with whichever of those tags work. So if you send them if you set them up to keep an eye on whether anyone approaches from behind, that would be +1. The spiritual one is, you know, if you set them up to spot any spiritual disturbances, that would give you +1. It's difficult to see how you get +2 out of that, but you never know.
Yeah, I think they're going to stay here.
Okay.
But I think they'll just they're watching they're kind of managing keeping an eye on things up here. So
Fine. And do they have any instructions on, you know, and if this happens, do that, or we'll cover that when something happens?
we can cover that when it happens. I would assume that they would just to protect, you know, keep an eye on their stuff, all their, you know, I'm assuming we have sort of a retinue of stuff that we've brought along with us. So
absolutely. Okay. So down we go. Ava, it gets increasingly, you know, the heat haze. This is in the warm south, so it must be quite warm to show a heat haze during the summer here. But it's very clear that it's almost like you're heading down a chimney, in the sense that the heat becomes more noticeable the deeper you go, and the route down is scrambling. This does not look like it's man-made. This looks like something natural has opened this up. And if anybody from the Chisel and Mallet was here at this point, perhaps they would make a connection between the volcanic activity and the earthquakes in the mountains of the Reach. I think I probably need disarm to work here. Now, Ava, you are unaffected by fire. But this is not fire. This is heat. So Ava, let's have you roll disarm to avoid, you know, having something or someone damaged by this increasingly intense heat.
Okay.
So 2d6 plus
2 dice
bravery.
plus bravery, which is 1 for me. Okay. Ooh, that's 3.
Will you look at that? I am going to give you an option. Do you want to take harm from this explosion of steam? A crack, a fissure appears in the wall, and there's an outpouring of steam. Do you want to take the effect of that, or do you want to have the temple guards take the effect of that?
Oh, it's too bad about the guards. Would they lose a tag or something? Is that how that
Yeah,
works?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Alright.
I think
We'll
I'm
get
gonna.
rid of vicious maybe, or
Yeah,
either
I
one?
think they are. Yeah, they are less vicious than they were.
Okay.
The way to do that I don't know if this will work. I'm going to put a line through vicious in the core. No, it doesn't carry across. I thought that the formatting might work across. It doesn't. C'est la vie.
Okay. I'll figure out something.
Yeah, we'll make a note.
Okay.
Vicious isn't applying. The deeper you go, the hotter it gets. And there are this venting of steam. Let me go to the person who's next in line, which is Ehsan Baccus. Ehsan, do we see you doing anything to either avoid this, to mitigate the effects of these explosions of steam? And if so, what do we see you doing?
Ehsan, of course, is not immune to heat or fire, and is starting to get very nervous because he wants to protect his charge, but at the same time he can't, he and his followers can't keep up with this going on. So he stops and says,
trying to keep up?
What?
Are they trying to keep up?
They're trying to keep up, but the heat and the fire is too much for them. So they say, please, we cannot protect you if you go further. We must find another way. There has to be another way.
Ava, what's your response?
I guess maybe I turn to, maybe we're at a landing of some sort. I turn to Helga and say, well, maybe this is the spot to try to get that ritual, maybe to protect us from this heat.
Helga, because you suggested if you got down here, you could do something useful in terms of unearthing forgotten lore or learning a
That
ritual.
does sound like something Helga would say. I think I will go through the motions of unearthing forgotten lore.
Well, sorry, my mistake. The forgotten lore has been unearthed. You have fictional positioning to learn a ritual in relation to this heat, this location.
Yeah, I think she's going to look around. She's trying to maintain the facade. We can roll because she might accidentally find something, but her heart is not in it. I need to roll plus lore. Let me remind myself.
Well, let me be clear here. If you roll plus lore and it goes well, you will have learned a ritual.
Right.
Are you actually trying to, in some way, make the appearance of learning a ritual with no intention of doing so?
If I learn a ritual, I will not let people know.
Okay, fine. So learn a ritual in secret is fine. Let's have you roll.
I am a shadow.
You
after
are.
all. And apparently I rolled a 10.
Gee whiz. On a 7 to 9, on a 10, they pick one. So there is the land picks one limitation.
Wait, are we learning? Oh, we're learning a ritual. Sorry.
We're learning a ritual.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
Do you want to define the ritual, or do you want me to? It has to be to do with heat, fire, steam, something like that.
Is this connected to the overall kind of narrative of the controlling the evil spirits, or is this just
I think it is
a random one?
If I was speccing this myself, I would say it's something like control fire, control the element of fire.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great. Yeah.
I can't believe we've just created control elemental level 2.
It took a long time to get here, but
But on a 10 plus, pick one. Which of those limitations applies?
I mean, the tutor picks one technically, but you
Oh,
cannot
sorry.
teach the ritual to others.
Yeah, fine.
Feels like a
Yeah, that would fit fictionally, wouldn't it? As Helga says, nothing.
yeah. I mean, I can roll find common ground if you want me to roll for the deception or
I
something
think that
like
would be cool. Cunning is another of your strong points, so let's have you dissemble.
Right. Is find common ground the right thing to do?
I think so, because ask someone to do something for you, which is to believe you
Right.
when you say, nah, nothing,
I
nada.
don't see a thing around here. And I rolled an 11.
Gee whiz.
She's very good at this.
Um,
Looking for things, not so good.
on a 10 plus, they pick one. They'll only believe you if, and this is the they, and I think the they here is Ava, I think,
Okay.
because Ava is the person who, a third party vouches for you. You can add or remove specific things to the task. You can, they can back out as soon as the task costs them anything. You reduce the threat. Is this relevant? You can give them something. No, I'm going to ignore. I don't think find common ground is necessary. I don't think it works here. You just assemble. You're a shadow. Fictionally, that works. I'm not going to fart about with this.
Okay.
Can you get influence on the wise? Probably. I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, none of it really plays. There isn't a misdirection move. And if there isn't a move for it, you can do it if you have the fictional positioning. So you have this ritual in your backpack, but nobody else knows because you now have a backpack because we're playing D&D again.
I think I say I'm really sorry. It feels as if we must press forward despite the heat. What my investigations tell me is that there's no other way down, and that we must, in order to learn the secrets of the monolith, we must keep going. That is the only way we can save the land.
Saruke, any contribution to make at this stage, or are you going?
I have a question about one of my character moves. So I have the one of them character moves. You mimic Let me tell you narratively what I want Saruke to be doing right now. And if it doesn't fit, it can just be something she's doing and there's no mechanical effect. But I like the idea of her mingling with everybody who's in here, the temple guards, all these folks, just trying to ingratiate herself, with everybody, with the idea that, just, it feels very like something she would do, is to just ingratiate herself. And I like this move because I can make this work whether I fail or succeed. I think.
Okay. I am going to ask you to target. I'm going to say, is this the members of the Shining Path?
Yes.
Or is this the shadow?
The Shining Path. Yep.
Shining Path. Fine. Go ahead. Roll plus cunning.
Just realized I don't even think I've rolled yet.
Well, then it's long overdue.
It's inconceivable. All right. Roll plus cunning. 12.
Gee whiz, you guys are not giving me much. I've still got that hard move sitting on the shelves from Helga's mess up. But so on 10 plus, you duplicate their manners effortlessly. They're set at ease and will trust you and consider your words. I think that gives you advantage with members of the Shining Path when you seek common ground. Does that seem like
that's perfect? Because what I see narratively is she's spending a lot of time with the temple guards. She's making comments about, she's maybe tending to them a little bit because they got hurt by the steam. And perhaps since it's so hot, she's maybe not wearing nearly as much as she was when they started, and all of that sort of stuff. So
fine. Remember that advantage, because I will forget about it. As you go deeper, it becomes very clear that there is a source of this heat. At certain points, you seem to find almost options to either continue to head towards the source of the heat or to avoid it. for all that higher up, Helga was right. You only had the option to carry on. Now you have a choice. Ava, which choice do you make?
We must press ahead, into the heat. That must be the source of the disturbance.
And as you follow this cavern, this tunnel, you will emerge. You'll begin to see a glow, a red-orange glow, and as you get closer, the heat gets more intense. Again, no flames, just heat, and you emerge into a cavern. Much of the floor is covered, consists of bubbling lava pits. I have lapsed back 40 years to the last time I played D&D. I apologize if I'm gonzoing this too much, forgive me. But yeah, there is a cavern, there are pits of lava, and on the far side of this cavern is a natural arch curtained with flame. Helga, you are an agent of the wise. What do you do?
I think it's time for me to leave. I feel like I got what I came for, which is a sense of control over these elemental spirits, these evil spirits. And I have no loyalty to these folks here. I mean, Alan, in your mind, if Helga now reports back to the wise with this ritual that she found, has she sort of done what she's set out to do? What beneath the monolith will return control to the wise?
Beneath what's beneath the monolith will, I think if you could control the flames down here, that might return control of fire to the monolith, to the wise.
Okay.
That is the secret that I think has now been revealed to you.
Okay.
Whether you depart or stay, if you depart, that's fine. I'll have you flesh out one of the temple guards as a Shining Path quick character.
Actually, if I could an emissary from the Chisel Mallet be here?
I think that's stretching it.
Okay.
If I'm honest.
All right. She'll stick around, but she'll say to Ava.
Oh, what the hell? It's the finale, of course. If you want one of the Chisel and Mallet's agents.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, Cassie was like, all right, I'm sending Ava to do this, but I don't trust anybody anymore.
Fine.
So let me send someone to keep an eye.
If you want to create, if you want one of the assorted temple guards to be an agent of the Chisel and Mallet and describe a Chisel and Mallet quick character, that's fine by me.
Helga has been sort of ushering people down, like, come on, we got to keep moving. And by the time the last person is down, now she sort of looks around and heads back up the crack. And now I will take a moment to.
Well, before you do that, let's see if you get away with it. Roll this. So when you take quick action to achieve something, roll disarm, roll plus bravery. Do you make a clean exit?
That is a great question, and I would love it if she didn't. So my bravery is 1, and I rolled a 9.
Well, that's 7 to 9. You've bought some time, but choose one. Safety demands a sacrifice. I say what? It's only temporary safety. The danger will soon return. I will offer the Shining Path the opportunity to send a bunch of followers after you. Or the danger still present, but threatening someone or something else. The hard move will arrive. Which one takes your fancy?
I think I like that.
Or do you go to Saruke and say, hey, I need your help?
you were reading my mind. I was going to ask if there could be a lend aid here that maybe Saruke sees this and will do something to help aid.
The way the move works is that the person with the role decides whether they want to call for it.
Right.
So I'm putting that on the table in front of Helga now.
Yeah, Helga wants to make a clean getaway.
With the
And
exception of Saruke.
right, and does not mind owing someone a favor.
Okay.
Favors are
let's-
forgotten. So
So how, you know, Helga gives you the impression that she needs to go now. Saruke, what do you do if you choose to agree to the call for aid?
Yeah, she's definitely going to agree. I kind of like the idea because it's so ridiculous that she pretends like she's twisted her ankle to distract all of the temple guard, all those people or something like that.
Okay, that seems to me to be about cunning. So roll with cunning for the call for aid, and you roll with advantage. Oh no, you don't. There is no backstory between you and Helga. That is a 6 plus. Oh, you are muted.
My goodness. She's got +2 for cunning.
Okay,
so.
on 7 to 9, they also share in your move's consequences. So if they get a hit, increase your result so it gets to a 10 plus. On a 10 plus, the situation is safe unless changed significantly. So there are no consequences. Helga, does she acknowledge Saruke's help? Do we see that go on, Dan, before Helga leaves the scene?
yeah, I think Helga passes along a token of some sort with a cat emblem on it that is sort of her version of an IOU. So any one of Helga's agents will acknowledge this token.
Okay. And Helga leaves the scene, leaving me with the hard move on the shelf, which I will deploy after she's gone. So feel free to create Chisel Mallet quick character.
Thanks.
It is 8 minutes to the hour. I'm wondering whether we take our second break here and are back in our seats on the hour. Yeah? Okay. See you shortly. Here we go. Sorry, you've missed 10 minutes, those of you watching this. Doesn't matter. Ava is just charged through a curtain of flame after our undercover Chisel Mallet has managed to subdue the lava with a ritual. And the key question is, Saruke, do you feel strongly enough about this to simply charge through the flame after Ava or not?
Well.
Saruke hesitates.
My gut instinct.
Saruke hesitates. Ehsan, do you and the temple guards follow your leader?
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's have you roll with bravery to see whether this is going to do any good or bad. In my mind's eye, there could be a consequence. It is just how bad the consequence is.
Oh, it's quite bad.
Oh my. That's a 6. Okay, well, the consequence...
You get to roll one more die because of my move. If you
Oh, you
follow
do.
me,
You
yeah,
do.
you get to roll with advantage.
Roll a single dice and we'll take the top 2.
Didn't help.
Nope.
Another 2, 2, and 3. Wow, all these 11s and 12s, and now a couple of fails. Gee whiz. So Ehsan, I'll offer you the same chance I offered Ava at the start of this, which is, do you take that harm, or do we see the temple guards incinerated?
No, I think Ehsan would sacrifice himself, if at all possible, to protect either Ava or the temple guards. He's
You
just
are going
that
to
kind
take,
of guy.
okay, you, Ehsan, will take a heavy wound. because what you noticed was when Ava went through it, it was like a curtain parting for a moment and then came back together. You, Ehsan, conclude that if you just were to stand in the gap, stand in the flames, you could physically hold the curtain wide enough to allow the temple guards to follow through. Is that what we see?
Yes, and he is correct.
He is. The temple guards charge through afterwards. Saruke, are you going to roll with bravery to take advantage of Ehsan's sacrifice? Or
Yes.
not?
Yeah, let's
Yes?
do it.
Fine.
Why not? Season finale.
Sorry, I should ask our undercover agent, do you stop before the curtain of flame, or do you follow the rest of the temple guards through?
Yeah, I'm not going through fire. I've done my part.
You've done your part.
Yeah.
Fine, Saruke, let's have you roll with bravery to see whether you get there before Ehsan steps away and the curtain closes behind him.
All right, and this was at advantage too.
This is an advantage, plus bravery.
She has a +1, so 7, 8.
8. On 7 to 9, you've bought some time, choose one. Safety demands a sacrifice. JM says, what? It's only temporary safety and the danger will soon return.
Can
Are you going to
Razzim,
be,
can Razzim help?
would Saruke call for aid? Because there's one temple guard who seems to be very nervous about going forward and much more interested in I mean, is there any sign that you were doing stuff with this welling water?
My thing is open. I've got cuts across. I got crystals coming out of my chest.
Saruke,
I'm nothing but signs.
Well, yeah, so I guess I could see it two ways, right? Because if she could also try to ask, I mean, because she was like schmoozing with all the temple guards, including this one, right? Yeah. I assume. And so the other thing would be is there a fine common ground in here? Because she has that advantage on that. I don't know. Or we could just do call for aid, I suppose.
I don't know what fine common ground is going to give you, because if you call for aid, if you call from a player character, then they will say whether they do follow it. If not, you could fall back on find common ground to have one of the other guards help. See what I mean?
Yeah, maybe what we see is that, you know, as she starts to go through the flame, maybe it's hurting. She's feeling it, right? Like it's hurting, and she cries out and makes eye contact with the and is help me.
Right. If you just then you will see on the other side of the flame the temple guards. You can call for aid from them, or you can call backwards into the cavern to the one who's determined not to come through. Which one is this, Dan, or is this a group of NPCs?
Let's to keep everybody connected. Dan, if you don't care, I'll do it with whatever. I'm sorry, I don't remember.
With my guy?
Yeah.
Razzim.
Yeah.
Razzim, I think, is going to try and like send some of the water that's emerged to the flames to kind of keep them at bay.
That sounds roll with law to command water. We got command elemental. We got command water elemental. What the hell?
Yeah. So I get to roll lore. I can continue to harm myself to roll with advantage there.
Then if
I will
you
take
want to
another
flesh wound,
I'll take another flesh wound, and I rolled a 7.
fine. So on a 7, they also share in your move's consequences, but you go from 7 to 9 to 10. The situation is safe unless changed significantly. You are doused in this water, Saruke, and you go through the flame, leaving our Chisel Mallet undercover agent on the other side of the flames. Last call for the trip through the flames.
I've taken 2 flesh wounds. I would like Saruke to be in charge of updating Cassie. So I wonder if that's part of my call to aid, is I pass her a piece of paper or something to give to Cassie.
I'm much taken with just you know, as the water hits you and there's this kind of Kasthera of the Chisel Mallet, tell her what happened here.
Yes.
You know, let's not be exchanging notes. And Saruke goes through, and we cut to the other side of the flames. The curtain closes, and Razzim didn't make it through. Ehsan, you lost one. Gee whiz. Which of the statues do you emerge in the shadow of?
It's a. Oh, are you asking? Who are you asking? I guess.
I think I'm going to ask Ava, because this
Okay.
is Ava's zoom in.
We haven't established about statues yet. This is just making it up, right?
The only one we visited is the one that sits on the step and is in the form of the Horselords.
Right.
Which of the peripheral ones? You can't choose the one in the middle of the land.
Oh, I see. We've teleported somewhere else.
That's what appears to have happened.
Okay. Let's have a sub. The statues are. Let's see. There's
one in the west. There's one on the
There's
edge
not
of the
one up by
river.
there's not one up by the Temple of the Prophet though, is there?
There's one near the building.
Oh yeah, let's be way up there then.
Okay. You emerge into in the shadow of this statue. Now, we found out from Joe last time that the one in the steps is figurative. It is a mounted figure with a lance. Let me ask Alex, what form do you want this statue to take? Figurative, abstract, the choice is yours.
I think abstract.
That would work for me. It is simply an enormous, apparently natural boulder. But of course, it is a large piece of stone carved to look like a boulder on a plinth, because we know that all of these were constructed by the Chisel Mallet. Dan, which agent of the wise is standing there?
Helga's standing there.
Of course, Helga is standing there, no matter how bizarre.
She can command the cats, and the cats have brought her across the land. The bigger ones have brought her.
Let me. Can I just redo that one?
Yes,
is
of
it
course.
An agent of the wise? In which case, who is it? Or is Cassie there?
Oh, yeah. Let's put Cassie there. Let's get everyone together.
Alex, I'll offer you the opportunity. Is Elena there?
I'm going to say no.
Okay, fine. Cassie, what did you see in the shadow of this statue, of this carved boulder, just before Ava stepped out onto the land?
As just before they emerged, I feel like all the rocks and sort of maybe even everything in the area sort of glowed a very bright lava-like orangey red.
Right.
Even the statue itself. Let's do it like that.
And we know that there is a good source of building stone in the vicinity. So I'm imagining, whatever there is, that there are boulders of all kinds of sizes scattered around here. and they all glowed just as they stepped through into this space between. Saruke, you were saved. You appear steaming because you know there was you were wet, and then it was kind of flash dried from you, and you stumble out alongside Ehsan and the temple guards to find Cassie there. Cassie, would you roll to unearth forgotten lore, please? Because I want to know what you've discovered by this event.
I lost Cassie. There she is. So she's rolling lore with lore, and it's +2. No advantage. Oops. 12.
Aye, aye, aye. On a template, ask 2 questions.
Was I doing this before they emerged or as they emerged?
I think you were doing this as they emerged. Or did your choice, actually.
What dangers and how can I draw on this for power?
What dangers is it hiding? There is a dangerous spirit here. And how could you draw power from it? You might try to control it.
The spirit.
The spirit. And as you come to that conclusion, the spirit takes action. Boulders and stones from around you begin to roll under their own power towards one another. Ehsan, what do you command the temple guards to do? Because this ain't natural.
Ehsan is still smoking, and is having a little bit of trouble focusing because his entire body is in intense pain. But he kind of gestures towards Ava, and towards the he gestures the temple guards towards Ava, and he says, "Protect her at all costs."
They form a perimeter around Ava. And one of them probably helps Ehsan inside the perimeter as these boulders are coming towards you. Saruke, you see what's happening. What do you do?
Oh, she's one of one of their house sort of attributes or things is no matter what, their steed always can just appear where they're at. And I think what we'll see is that she kind of does this whistle like thing, and you know, her steed, whatever, like appears, and she mounts, but then, you know, draws her blade to kind of prepare for whatever. She'd rather be, obviously they would rather be mounted to fight. So
and yeah, it is, you know, she whistles, and through the scene in front of her comes this stallion or mare, this swift, wonderful horse. And you know, it's grab the mane as it passed, throw yourself into the saddle, and you are ready for action. Ava, the guards have surrounded you to provide some kind of perimeter as these rocks, and that's when you realize the rocks are not necessarily rolling towards you, but they are rolling towards one another.
I'll lead them in a charge, and we'll start. I'll say, we must destroy this unholy thing. We'll start attacking it.
Fine, let's have you fiercely assault, because what is happening is these stones are and rocks are coming together and almost forming an articulate creature.
Can I activate lead the charge again when you charge into battle ahead of a group of allies?
You just charge into battle.
Yeah. All right, rolling with advantage, +3. I can't miss this. 10, just barely. Oh no, actually it's 13.
13. Okay. On a hit, you've achieved your goal. They're wounded, bound, or fleeing. I tell you now, they're not going to flee.
Mhm.
And I don't think what you've done binds them anyway. So what do we see that tries to stop this thing completing its form?
Should we do the next part of the move? On a 10+, you choose 2 and the GM chooses 1.
Go ahead.
Yeah. We're gonna inflict savage, terrifying harm and frighten your foes. And we are going to have get fleeting advantage acting on whatever we learn here. You learn something useful, ask a question and get fleeting advantage.
There is something holding these rocks together, and what you succeeded in doing there was disrupting that by shouting to the temple guards, attack between the stones rather than attacking the stones. Whatever force is holding them together and articulating them is what you need to do.
Yeah, can I interject something there?
You can.
Yeah, the temple guards take their shields and they intersperse them between the stones, kind of causing a barrier so that the stones can't quite meet up.
Right. I am going, though, to inflict some harm on Ava as the person doing this experiment. I think, given the nature of this, that is significant harm. So I'm going to ask you to take a heavy wound.
Okay.
And then let's have you, Ehsan, roll for the temple guards to do what they're trained to do.
And as a result of what I got, you get fleeting advantage.
You have fleeting advantage to act under orders, which is follow under orders. Roll plus. Now they are vicious and drilled, so they will follow orders, and they are good at it. So let's have you roll +2 to follow orders. Let's see if they can if they can keep this thing from forming.
With advantage.
With advantage. 3 dice, top 2 +2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's a 12.
That's a 12. On 10+, they do it no problem. So this thing, each of them is putting a shield, and the stones kind of are focused on trying to make a connection rather than focused on attacking you. Saruke, what do we see you doing?
I don't want to. So I was thinking fiercely assault, but I don't kind of want to take the thunder away from Ava because it's her zoom in. She just saw, but she did just see Ava take I thought I heard you say she took a heavy wound.
She did.
So she, maybe we will see this. So maybe we'll see Ava, pull up as Ava takes that and in sort of that angry, concerned way, yell at her, like kind of like, you stupid fool, leave the fighting to those who know how to fight, and then she will assault the thing.
Let's have you fiercely assault. Roll plus might. I will give you advantage because I think you benefit from the same fleeting advantage that Ava offered.
Okay. She has no advantage on that, or no, she has no bonus on that. So.
Okay. And still she rolled a 10. So on a 10+, choose 2, GM chooses 1.
All right. Sorry, I got to move back to my flipping back and forth between tabs is slow. I'm sure it's the Mac, Alan, that's making it so slow. So
you might say that. I couldn't possibly comment.
Let's see. Choose 2 and the GM chooses 1. I think we have to inflict savage, terrifying harm.
Okay.
And I would like to, assuming there is an aftermath, I would like to scavenge a useful piece of gear in the aftermath.
I think that you do that now. Do we see, is it you with the sword that's doing this, or is the horse literally bursting through some of these?
Yeah, what I kind of imagine in my head is you know, the guards are all like in these spaces between, right?
Mhm.
But maybe there aren't enough of them and there's still a space, and we'll just see her just all in, like fly right into the breach, so to speak. So
And I think one of those stones, you know, hits her in the stomach, and I think the stone is what you're going to salvage from this.
okay.
A stone of earth power, but that is going to render a heavy wound to you. Cassie, Ava, the guards, Ehsan and the guards, and Saruke appear to be disrupting this thing from forming, but still it is forming.
Yeah,
What are you going to do?
I think Cassie has a suspicion about that this was not meant to be a dangerous thing, and it is fighting back only because it was attacked, and she really wanted to engage with it. I don't know that there's, so I think in my mind she's sort of trying to pull back some of the guards and stuff from fighting it, but there's too many guards, and she's a middle-aged lady, so she's not you know, middle-aged ambassador Loremaster, so she's not really trained to kind of get in anyone's way when they're fighting. I don't know if there's a move here, but I think she's just sort of being ineffectual and unable to kind of act on her instinct, which is to see what the monster wants.
Then I think I'll offer you two options here. One, do you step into the middle of this fracas and try to disarm the situation and calm people down and buy an opportunity to find out what this thing is doing? Or do you try find common ground to try and assert your kind of position of power on people and command them to stop doing this?
Supposed to get the tough choice after I rolled, but let's see. I think she would do something with bravery, which is disarm, because her cunning is mediocre.
Use quick action to de-escalate a dangerous situation. Roll plus bravery.
Hang on. Yeah, let's try it. Now's the time to get a bad roll, right? 7, squeaked it out.
You've bought some time, but choose one. Safety demands a sacrifice. It's only temporary safety. Danger will soon return. The danger is still present, but threatening someone or something else. I can't see the last one can apply because you're all in the crosshairs here. So it's sacrifice or temporary respite in which someone could do something other than defend themselves or attack.
I can't think of anything meaningful to sacrifice that's not Cassie herself.
Nor can I.
And Cassie's not ready.
Sacrifice could be a heavy wound.
I mean, yeah, that works. She can take a
Okay.
heavy wound.
Is that a heavy wound from some of the rocks or from some of the temple guards when she literally is kind of pulling them away?
Those shields have sharp edges.
This buys an opportunity. The thing is clearly confused. It is an opportunity for someone to do something, or for everyone to do one thing. I'm going to start and work up, if you will. So I'm going to start with Ehsan and the temple guards. Is there anything Ehsan wants the temple guards to do or wants himself to do? The thing does not currently appear to be threatening Ava. That is the window that Cassie has bought.
Yeah, Ehsan is going to try and move Ava out of here, out of danger.
Okay, I think that is likely to be find common ground rather than bravery. To convince Ava to just back off.
Yeah.
So let's have you roll with cunning, Ehsan.
Ehsan is many things. Cunning is not one of them.
Ehsan, take a light move as Ava punches you with the pommel of her sword. Saruke, there is this moment of calm. What do you do with this moment of calm? Do you exploit it by attacking the creature while it appears to be slightly kind of quiescent at advantage, or do you do something else?
I think that's probably the most likely move for her.
Let's have you fiercely assault with advantage plus might.
All right.
On a 10 plus, you choose 2 and I choose 1.
Savage harm.
Okay. I'm marking harm on the creature here, by the way, just so you know that this isn't for nothing.
So if I choose learn something useful, I have to come up with the question, right?
Or you can just ask me for something, ask me for an insight, and I will offer you an insight.
Yeah. I'll choose learn something useful.
The creature, the spirit, is insane.
Insane?
Yes.
In the membrane, sort of insane?
In the sense of irrational,
Okay.
behaving unreasonably. There is something wrong with it. Okay?
Okay.
Ava, there is this moment of calm. And you know, maybe there's an exchange of a look between you and Saruke that tells you that there is something amiss with this creature.
Right. Ava's very confused. Her mother is telling her to stop fighting, and she had this whole
And yet she
bizarre...
has sworn.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to do something we haven't done all game. At least I haven't. I have a ritual in my house. You know, a ritual to call on the perception and light of the sky. I want the sky, the sun that we worship, to show me what I should do. And I'm wondering if Saruke's result can give me advantage on this.
Yeah, I'll give you advantage on that. Enact a ritual.
All right.
Roll plus law with advantage.
-1.
But 3 dice. What could go wrong?
That's a 10.
Nothing could go wrong in this afternoon. So on a 10 plus, on a hit, it does roughly what you want. The clouds part, and the sunlight strikes this kind of roiling mess of shields and rocks, and what the shadow cast is not of that, but it is of a screaming face. Pick 2 blessings.
In my house, because I got to move it, I replaced that with my own.
Oh yes, go ahead.
Your rituals won't draw on the same blah. Pick which source of power call on. You suffer my banes are different, so
okay.
you choose. But my blessings are the same. So blessings. Let's say the magic is far more powerful than normal, and you gain fleeting advantage.
Fine. The sunlight, you see this screaming more, and I've got an eye on the clock now. And because you have chosen that the magic is more powerful, not only does the light illuminate, but it disperses. And the screaming more gradually subsides into the shadow of the rocks. And what was the other one? Fleeting advantage?
Yeah.
I'm not going to make you roll fleeting advantage. Suddenly, all of you feel the land come to life beneath you.
Mm.
And I think that we will close out with Cassie looking at her daughter. Cassie, do you tell her that the lines of power have been strengthened here?
Indeed. And I say I tell her the secret. I'm going to count on you. We have to form an alliance. I depend on no one else. We have to take advantage of the strengthening of the lines of power to free ourselves from the hegemony of the wise.
That is a fantastic segue, because I was going to choose in my bane, the land shows you something it thinks you need to know, which is the wise perverted the power of the land to succeed in the rebellion, and that now the land needs to assert itself again. And it is the wise who weakened the spirits of the land, all bar one. The fires beneath the monolith resisted their efforts, and your efforts today have strengthened the power of the earth beneath this statue. And so, if I was going to update the map, it would now show a strengthened line of power running away from this statue.
Perfect.
And the next series will be about how do you overthrow the wise. And that's where we close out with end credits. But I would like to give us an opportunity to epilogue out of this, right? Because that seems appropriate. I'm going to start with you, Alex, because Alina has not been present. I wonder how you want to epilogue the Cursed and Alina out of this season.
Well, the Cursed realize that with their original land, their homeland being under the control of another power, they cannot return. So they have a large meeting in which the heads of all the families decide that they're going to stick around, but that their allegiance is now going to be up for grabs. Basically, they're going to sell themselves to the highest bidder, whoever that may be, and that they no longer will do the bidding of the wise, but do what's in their own best interest.
So the thread of season 2 is the macro story is, does the wise maintain control? And do we have to wait till season 3 to get an insurrection, or will that happen in season 2? Joe, epilogue me out the either Saruke and or the Horselords. What do we see at the end of this season that gives us a clue what's going on with them?
Yeah, so I kind of, in my head, as we've been this is kind of unfolding, it's kind of like you've got that sort of storm on the horizon sort of thing, right? As the season is, as this is wrapping up, and I think we, Saruke, obviously everybody who was at this thing knows, okay, the good times are over, I guess, if these were the good times, right? But everybody knows the storm is coming. We see the Horselords want to strengthen their position, and I think we see this end with Saruke getting married off to the son of the chief of the Marauders to strengthen their because the Marauders are not of the wise, right? They're
No,
so
they
so I
are
think
out
that's
with the wise.
I think just this it ends with, you see her like the ceremony, right? You see them being married. So
I'm going to go to Jason and Ava next, and then Dan, simply because I think that technically solving this mystery was a job put to the Chisel and Mallet. So Jason, what about Ava and the Shining Path?
So I think after these events, Ava makes an oath to get revenge because she noticed Helga abandoned us, would trigger her rogue roll. And so we see the austere throne room of the Shining Path and Sala sitting on a throne, and Eva comes in and she rolls a head to his feet. And I imagine it's Helga's head, but as I was thinking of this, it could be just about anybody, but let's go with Helga.
Fine, I like that. And what does James says where you might find allies in your quest. I think let's not have a head yet. Say why it's crucial your foe is stopped before it's too late. I think that's clear. And GM says where you might find allies in your quest, and that is probably in the Chisel and Mallet, but we'll wait for a moment to find out. Because Sala will say this is an opportunity for the Shining Path to truly achieve its position as the one true way, if what you are saying, daughter, is correct. Cut to the Chisel and Mallet and or Cassie. What epilogue do we see for them?
I think we see Cassie on a funeral pyre. She's passed away, and she is surrounded by the what was once various clans of the Chisel and Mallet. She has succeeded in eliminating the corruption from the Chisel and Mallet, and in fact, they are no longer known as the Chisel and Mallet, but they are known as the Anvil, and they have all united under a single kind of family. And she's installed a council of loyal people to head up the anvil. We see sort of an emblem of the anvil on their tunics as they're watching Cassie's body, I guess, burn.
I think what that tells me is that the next season will open with an insurrection. I don't think there's any question that an insurrection is on the cards. For my own purposes, I think that I would like to, a shot of the great boulder statue at the north end, and then we drift the camera above it, and we can see dust clouds on the horizon as some threat is approaching. And end of season 1. Let's have a quick round, because I'm conscious that for all I thought I was going to finish early, I've now run on a bit. So let's have a quick roses and thorns at this point, because we know we're not coming back next week. Alex, any roses, any thorns?
Rose to just holding everything together. I think this game, more than, maybe this is a rose and a thorn too, this game more than any that I've played recently or maybe ever, except for early games in high school of Paranoia, where the players are actively working against each other, and that makes for a difficult experience for the GM, and difficult for the players too, because it's like you have to hold together, but I mean, you can't just fall apart is what I think. So that's tricky, but also can be very rewarding as well.
Great. Joe, any roses, any thorns?
I just think roses all around. It was really fun. I know for me personally, it's a bit of a, like, we're so used to playing these cooperative games, right? Where everybody's like bending over backwards, right? You know, it's like cooperative to the nth degree. And it's been interesting to do something different like that. And I just thought everybody brought a great energy, and I really hope we can find a way to do season 2. So and yeah, so that's yeah.
Yeah, I kind of see it as a extending the play to lose philosophy, but you know, play to fall apart, play to destroy each other, but all while trying to tell a bigger, greater story in the process.
Yeah. Yes. As we've been playing, I've been thinking that this is normally it is the role of the GM to complicate individual characters' lives. This is a game that encourages other players to complicate players' lives in the form of making their characters' task trickier. Jason, you next. Rose's Thorns?
Yeah, I mean, it's a real vivid world that we've created. It's been a lot of fun. Just looking at the map right now and seeing all the little bits and pieces, all the things. And I think, you know, we have engaged with a lot of it. A lot of times when you play a game, you create all this stuff and you never really do anything with it. But we've engaged with a lot of this stuff. There's a lot more we could have, but you know, I think we covered a ton of ground in our experience. I don't know if it's a thorn or anything, but I just realized as we played the game, or as I played the game, you know, all the little moves that you have on your house and your character, like I think it's really important that you, like today, a lot of it, you know, I try to bring them all in, because I think trying to get those advantages, making sure every move you do, since you're not rolling a lot of dice, you're not doing a lot of things, make sure that everything you do is very focused on accomplishing something, you know, actually getting something tangible out of it. It's very important to play in this game, because like we said before, and I think we saw today, you don't roll a lot of dice, so you want to make sure that you get something out of it when you do. So,
Yeah, I think that's true. And I've been thinking about the layout of the character keeper, things like because the one a part of the inheritance is in effect another move, and that needs to be sitting there under the character, under the move heading, as a reminder, because it's difficult when you're playing the character to think, oh, I must remember that inheritance. So I think there's something about layout here that would help that, but I think it's absolutely true. And finally, Dan, the only reason we're here is you are to blame for this series.
Thank you.
Were keen to play
I take
legacy related.
Full responsibility for the game and but mostly the weird time. It's hard for me to play games normally, just given kind of where my family schedule is at. So thanks all for gathering, especially Alex at this really strange time, Rose, for everyone for showing up consistently. And as Joe implied, bringing 110%. There was we were so fully engaged in this game, and it was just very gratifying to see. I kept looking for problems in the rules of the game, right? Just in the structure of the game. And Alan, I think you did such a great job sort of tweaking things that needed to be tweaked, especially on the fly. And for all the little weirdness in the game, it does do a good job of kind of like trying to keep bringing us back together. I think, Magpie has this notion in their game design of like trying to keep everyone sort of focused on each other, and the game does a really good job of that. So even when we were acting on our own behalf, we were affecting things with other folks because we were all connected in this way. So it was just very gratifying to kind of see us kind of be immersed in our own world, but inevitably affecting other folks. I loved the agents. I thought that would be kind of a weird distraction, but it really worked well to kind of, again, draw the wise, the arbiter back into these things, and also add some weird worldly flavor to it. So I've got nothing but great things to say. I just had also the other thing I will say is like this kind of game where it happens on two levels, I think best emulates like reading a novel or even watching a movie, where there's always these two levels of things going on, where the author will tell us what's happening at the street level, with the characters, but also tell us what's going on in the context of the world, or imply what's going on in the context of the world. It's hard to get that in a tabletop game, but I think this did it really nicely. So
yeah, I'd endorse
thanks
some
for
of
letting me ramble.
that. I think that from going from the place of shit, I'm scared of this game, to I don't want to stop, is the arc I've been on, and I think that Free from the Yoke is a better game than Legacy, and I think some of the stuff from Free from the Yoke could usefully be ported across into Legacy, because my experience of Legacy is it is like setting off a grenade in a melon factory. You know, poof, just things just go apart. Whereas the Arbiter, the whole idea of the Arbiter just keeps people coming back together. So I think there's something about trying to either add some of the freakier bits of Legacy into Free from the Yoke, so you could play a slightly more, you know, gonzo, wild, whatever. But yeah, this has been not just more fun than I expected, but more rewarding than I expected. Because, you know, I came to it a little bit worried. But you have made this my first Legacy-based GMing experience a joy, guys. I really appreciate it. So, you know, stars to all of you on the level of player, character, house, and otherwise. And for being very kind of generous in the sense of not always looking for ways to wangle your character into a zoom in, because, you know, that's the only way this game can be played. I think you're right. All of you who've had a go at playing an Agent of the Wise, I think it adds a really interesting new dimension to it. And Dan, I was set back when you said, I think it's time Helga left now. But that is absolutely what Helga would have done. You know, absolutely.
That's
and she remains
do.
out there as an antagonist for Ava to pursue. That's why I was keen not to have her head on the ground right now, because I think there's a whole quest thing going on there. So yeah, I could talk about this for the next 20 minutes. And I, you know, for those of you who listen in to the Gauntlet Game of the Year, I may have changed my mind. And that is no offense to Lowell, who GM'd the one that is my Game of the Year. This has been a really great experience, guys. So with that, wave goodbye to the internet, because I'll stop the recording.